Howdy folks, welcome to the beach. I made it. I got sick of all that urban stuff. Dogs, people, cars, not interested. Come out to my local patch, vast area of truly wild salt marsh, mud flats and beach. Good place to come, where it used to be. Still a lot of dog walkers here. Can't stand the bloody things. Anyway, right then, welcome to episode 5 of Runner's Tale. Not sure really what to call this one yet. I always have that problem. This will be about my second year in Manchester and moving to Twin Falls, Idaho, and then finishing up in Reno, Nevada. I wrote some notes out this morning because it's a bloody long time ago and I've forgotten a lot of stuff, and I'll go through some of it with you. It made some interesting reading this morning when I went through it. My training in Manchester was not what anyone could call consistent. It was up and down all over the place. A lot of time off, injuries, health problems. It was crap. I keep using that word, don't I? But consistency is the key, I think anyway, to a successful athletics career, or any sporting career. Now then, let's start off. January 1979. Snow, snow, snow. Lots of it. I wasn't getting a lot done. It was hard work. Wasn't used to it. But first race of the year, Lancashire County Championships at Heaton Park in Manchester. And it was very snowy. Lots of it on the ground. I was crap on mud, but it turned out to be quite good on snow. I won the junior race and I finished 5th overall. A certain Steve Kenyon won it. I think Ricky Wilde was up there as well. But all the guys in front of me were all international athletes. Now, winning the Lancashire cross-country championships is quite something. There are some of the counties like Lancashire, Yorkshire, Surrey, Hampshire, any of the northeastern counties, they're major. If you win one of those, you're pretty good. But unfortunately, in my case, I wasn't. I think the inter-counties were a few weeks later, and where did I finish? 25th. They were at Luton. Snow, mud, fog. Rubbish. There was a lot of snow that month, everywhere. And I don't know if it was the snow, but I developed a bad hip problem, which lasted for a long, long time. Turned out to be bursitis, and it caused me a lot of problems. A lot of physio, a lot of time off, a lot of inconsistency in training. I'd run some weeks, not the next, and it was like that, on and on and on and on, for another 18 months maybe. I also developed an Achilles problem later on. My body was breaking down already, and I was only 19. Like the fool that I was, I carried on running as and when I could. Physio started just before I turned 20. It only finished last year. Actually, I had a big long gap in between, but the body's wrecked. Anyway, back to the notes. Early March, English National Cross Country, the National. I think that was also at Luton. I didn't go, I had a cold. I think Mike McLeod won that one. But I've also noted down here that I'm still only doing quite low mileage. 25, 45 miles a week. I'd only been, running a couple of years, so it's perfectly acceptable to be running low mileage like that. Take your time building it up. Shouldn't be dashing off to do 100-mile weeks at that age after only a couple of years of running. It's not good for you. 25 miles a week's not good for you. My body was also showing me. Looks like I managed to get my act together again later in March, because I did a 10-mile road race, Warrington. That's between Manchester and Liverpool. I won it. It was the Chris Foes, 49.24. I think I led most of the way, pushed the pace, finished off Kirk Lazaridis in the last few hundred metres. Then, what have I written down? April, I went off to the Isle of Man. They have a running festival there, 3 races. There's a road race, a road relay and a fell race. I won the road race, just from Jerry Helm. I was struggling with, I think it was a bad stitch or something, but he made the mistake of not finishing me off, and I finished him off at the end. But never let me do that. And next day was the relays, club relays. I think we probably got second, I'm not sure. And then third day was the fell race, and absolutely bloody rubbish at fell running. I might have plodded up and down. What I do remember about that was the beer drinking. There's an incredible beer drinking event on the last night. There's a guy from Manchester University could down a pint in a couple of seconds. Phenomenal. It would take me all night to drink one of those. Never was a big drinker. Whatever you heard. And then back from the Isle of Man, and it was start of the track season. Did the odd little thing, it was local league races. And what have I written down here? BMC mile at Stretford. 5.9. That might have been my first ever mile race. Everything else was 1500. Soon after that, again at Stretford. Good place to race, Stretford, it's one of the top places in the country for racing. Northern League, 800 metres, 153.9. A couple of days later, a BMC 800, and let's have a gander. Wind's blowing everything around. 151.2. That remained the best 800 I ever did. I think I finished second. Keith Rothwell won it, I think. But pace was 55 for the first lap, with a 56.2 for the second. I also did a 3,000 metre race that evening as well. 8:18. Why? Daft. I just raced everything and anything, I think a lot of us did back then. Nothing was planned. It was just, show up to an event, run it, see what happened. It was all, as I've said before, it was all very new to me. I was learning the trade, making mistakes, not learning from them. But, I enjoyed it. And that's, at the time, that's what it was about. It was something I enjoyed doing. It wasn't a career. It was fun. I did what I wanted to do, trained how I felt, raced how I felt. The big decision hadn't been made yet to be, a serious athlete. I was just, a good club runner, a good regional runner. And every now and again I'd have a good one. And often as not, I'd have a bad one. Not long after my 800 PB, I did the Hyde 7 road race just on the east side of Manchester. A hilly road race. I finished second. Mike Deegan won it. He was the international athlete, cross country and road. He thrashed me. It was a hilly course, and it's not my thing at all. I've written down here in my notes that the hip problem was still bothering me, and the right Achilles started to play up soon after that. A couple of weeks later, all change. Back into the track running. I just swapped around from track to road. You wouldn't do that nowadays. You'd all have proper coaches who knew what they were doing, and I just did whatever everybody else was doing. You know, oh, where are we going this weekend, guys? Oh, it's a road race. Oh, all right, I'll do that. But a couple of weeks after Hyde, it was the 3As at Crystal Palace, 1,500 metres, and lucky me, Heat 1, Steve Ovett. God. You know, I grew up watching Steve Ovett, Dave Bedford. Those two guys are idolised. You know, for me, that's it. Forget anybody else. Those two, top dogs. But I got Ovett in the first heat, and I plodded around at the back until, you know, the last 200 metres and stick the boot in. But it was too late. Steve Ovett had gone. If you look on YouTube, there is a video clip of him winning that heat in the outside lane, waving to his girlfriend, future wife, Rachel, while the rest of us were struggling like hell. But I almost caught the guys in front, almost. I just missed out on the final by a metre or so, but that was the only time I think I ever raced Ovett, if you can call it racing. I got absolutely pasted. He was running backwards almost. Even though I only finished 5th, I got absolutely hammered. I wasn't far off a PB, around 3:45.7. I'd run faster as a junior. Oh well. Anyway, a couple of weeks later or so, I don't know, back to the road racing. Local Manchester, North Manchester road race, Mather and Platt, 5.6 miles. Odd. But I won it. I've written down here that I spent a lot of time in August cycling. I think my legs were struggling, hips were struggling, Achilles was problematic. But I plodded on. Did a slow 5,000 at Stretford. 14:28 off no running for 2 weeks. And was it September, Lino Type 5 in Altrincham. The guy I used to work with lived in Altrincham, and he kept going on about the Lino Type 5. I'd run it the year before, and I came back for this one, and I won it. My feet were killing me the next day. Shredded them. What happens after that? It was summertime. I was doing a lot of runs along the banks of the River Mersey. It was grass. Made a big difference. It helps. Get off the roads. They're bloody awful things. Didn't have much choice the rest of the year. You know, winter time, get home from work, black. Just run on the roads. I'd head up to Stockport, or I'd run around Manchester city centre area, anywhere I could see. It's not good for your legs at all. And you know, later on in my career in America, every opportunity I could, I would be running off-road. Just do it as often as you can. Just get off the roads. They're bad for you. Carrying on with life in Manchester, late 1979. Yeah, things weren't going very well. ended up going to do my first ever indoor meet. It was Cosford Open. RAF Cosford. At the time it was our only indoor track. Did a 1500 metres, nothing special. Where the hell is it? 357. Finished 4th. Interesting experience. I do remember it being very dry in there. And doing a track race at that time of the year was a bit unusual. Took a bit of getting used to. One of the regular training sessions I did in Manchester, Monday night with the club in the winter time, on the roads, Fallowfield in South Manchester, not far from where I was born, not far from where I was living. So I can't remember how far it was around. Normally we'd do it in 8.5 minutes, something like that. So I've got written down here, one night I went absolutely ballistic and did it in 7:26. A certain Alan Mottershead came down that night. He did go on to be the UK 1500 metre champion or mile champion, something like that one year. And he pushed me and pushed me and pushed me, and I wasn't going to let him beat me. That was my course. I was going to do it. So I believe it's the second fastest time ever on that training run. We hammered it. So in December 1979, the coach from College of Southern Idaho got in touch, telephoned me. We had a chat, gave me something to think about, something to look forward to. I was going to quit Britain, I was going to America, I was going to do something. Strange really, I had this belief that I could do something with a running career, and yet I hadn't really improved on my junior performances. 800 had got a lot faster. 1500 was stagnant, 3000 was going backwards. I was winning the odd race around Manchester, getting the training in occasionally, getting the experience, but I knew there was a lot more in the tank. I needed to get it out. I wanted to do something. I finally made it across the beach. I've been going very slowly, walking and talking. Genius, eh? How many of you can say that you can walk and talk at the same time? I think probably most of you, I hope. You're all very intelligent. Anyway, I've made it to the North Sea. Very glamorous, isn't it? Lots of seaweed. It's not exactly blue, is it? Or green, or much of anything. I'm on a bit of a paddle. I used to run along here a lot. I could get a 20 miler in. Park over there where I parked my car today. Run along the dunes. Head out across the beach. Run along the water's edge. The sand here is very firm. It's not like running on soft sand, it's very different. Soft sand will wreck your legs. It's firm stuff, it's nice. It's like running on grass. It's nice. I do like coming out here. Peace and quiet, he says. It's a vast expanse. I think I said earlier on, there's just not many places in Britain that can truly call themselves wild. This is one of them, especially in the winter time. Not a lot of people about. The wind's been getting up, my hands are getting cold. I had to do my jacket up. I think I might have to put my hat on again soon. Managed to go all day without it. Hair's blowing all over the place. What hair? I'm having a bit of a wander down the beach. A sort of flock of ducks out on the sea there. Common scoter, just a plain black duck. Over in Finland, they are called mustalintu, which means blackbird. The blackbird over here is completely different. It's a thrush. This is a duck, a sea duck. But I've done a lot of bird watching out here over the years. It's a good spot at times. So I noticed on the reports at the car park that there's been a lot of red-throated divers passing through here. Hundreds and hundreds of them. Winter plumage birds. Look fabulous in the summer. We don't get them here though. Just winter birds. I was hoping to see a few sanderlings along the shoreline, but there's nothing. Well, not yet anyway. Back to the running. I'm so easily distracted, as I've said before. The East Lancs Cross Country Championships. Doesn't sound like much, but anything to do with Lancashire cross country is good quality. I got second, so that was probably my best ever cross country performance in Britain. It was muddy as hell. I was just hanging on and hanging on and hanging on. Steve Kenyon totally dominated. He was a regular British international, sorry, English international cross-country runner. It was all divided back then still. He used to run the Worlds regularly. Frequently up at the front of the nationals. I don't think he never won it, but it was always close. Sanderling. Soon after that, it was the Northern Cross Country up at Durham. And silly me, made a mistake of going off quite slowly. And I got stuck in a crowd at the gate, at the end of the first field. Game over. But it was muddy as hell. Then it was on to the National at Leicester. And I finished 52nd. Nick Rose won it. I was nowhere. Hard to believe that a couple of years later I'll be one of the best cross-country runners in the world. I was just no bloody good at mud. And the National at the time, that was 9 miles, and that was just way too far for me. I could go 6, and that was my limit. I'm just enjoying the sanderlings here. Lovely little birds. Running along the water's edge. I can never catch them. Fast little buggers. What comes next? Stop waffling on. Oh, I've gone back to the track season, Stretford. Let's jump from February all the way to May. Why not? Ran a reasonable 1500. 3:46.6. So, I wasn't getting any better, but not a lot slower than as a junior. Did a BMC 800 at Stretford as well in June, 1:53. Gary Cook won it. He was bloody good in 1:47. So it was half a length away from me. Then it was on to the Northern 1500s Hull. I won my heat and I won the final. Just, I think Andy Armitage was second. Airedale and Spren Valley. It was a case of, sprint like hell down the finish straight and see if I can catch him. And I did. Very close to the finish line. But as I've said, it's not over till the fat lady sings. Soon after that, I seem to have gone into a period of doing nothing. Rest. Achilles problems. They plagued me for the rest of my running career. I did manage to do another road race in Manchester, Mather and Platt again. I'd won it the year before and I won it again. And then 1st of August, left Manchester, and I've barely been back since. Been to a couple of concerts, been to some BMC meets at Stretford and at Sports City, and that's it. Came back to Lincolnshire for a few weeks, and then let's have a look at the date here. August the 20th, 1980. I flew to LA. My first flight ever from Gatwick. Laker Airways. Didn't have many options back then. But, that was the only reasonably affordable one available. So I hung around in LA the next day. Then it was a flight to Twin Falls, Idaho via Salt Lake City. I had a fun flight from Salt Lake to Twin Falls. Or maybe that was another flight, I can't remember. The morning after I arrived in Twin Falls, I did a race. It was a half marathon, although I think it might have been a bit short. I was struggling, but I won it. Second place was Henry Carvajal, Colombian. I got to know quite a few Colombians in Twin Falls and later on in Reno. Who'd have thunked it? Yeah. Still in touch with Henry, he's on Facebook. And another Colombian, Hernando Hernandez. He was there as well. We had a good little training group. There's a few Americans as well. Local guys from Idaho. So, it's a nice little training group. Twin Falls itself, pancake flat on the Snake River Plain. But just to the north of the town was a bloody great big hole. Snake River Canyon. Oh God, it was impressive. About 500 feet deep. Quite wide, but for a geography student like me, I was impressed. I loved it. We did a lot of training down there. There was a golf course at the bottom, and it was also my introduction to hill running. I'd never done any before. Hill repeats. There were two lots that we did. There was a longer one, which was about a mile. Another one was about a quarter of a mile. But they were firsts for me. It made a big difference. Hill running. Do it. Right, besides the introduction to hill running, getting to Idaho also meant that I had the opportunity to train twice a day. I'd do a morning run, half an hour, and then we'd do the group workout in the afternoon, whatever it was. So, mileage went up quite considerably. I had run those kind of distances before, but inconsistently. Getting to Idaho meant I was doing it consistently. It made a big difference. Doing lots of local races in southern Idaho and western Montana. I was winning them. Wasn't being pushed very hard. So, just cruising. I did get to meet my first bunch of Africans at a race. It all went wrong, but I was running with the UTEP guys, University of Texas, El Paso, Musyoki, Niambui. These guys won absolutely everything for a long, long time. But I was just following them on a golf course somewhere, and they took a wrong turn. That's all she wrote. But I came to the attention of Ted Banks, who was the coach at El Paso. He seemed quite interested, and I would have been quite interested as well, but somebody at Twin Falls mentioned chiggers. And having dealt with chiggers later on in life, I'm glad I didn't go. They're horrible little things. Not good for your skin at all. Anyway, continued at Idaho for only a few months, during which time I won the the regional junior college cross-country championships at Coeur d'Alene in the north of Idaho, and the following weekend I won the national junior college athletics association cross-country championships by about 75 seconds. I absolutely loved racing on that course. It was just perfect for me. Cross-country on golf courses, yeah, some of you might sneer at it, say it's not real cross-country, and it isn't. But I absolutely loved it. I excelled on it. It's just an ideal surface for me. Not rubbish on mud. I was a track runner. 800 metre, 1500 metre runner. Not for much longer. Soon after I won the national at Coeur d'Alene. It was the proper national, the American cross-country championships at Pocatello, which were also in Idaho, just a couple of hours drive along the Snake River plain from Twin Falls. And it was a good turnout. You know, the top Americans were there. A few good British runners, Nick Rose, Jeff Smith were there. I finished 8th, and I was well chuffed. It was a big jump in performance to actually able to see someone like Nick Rose in the same race, and actually see him made a big difference. You know, just a few months earlier at Leicester, he'd been off in the distance, didn't see him at all. But it was a shorter distance, 10k. I could handle that. A few weeks after running at Pocatello, I headed down to Reno, stay with a friend there, and I was there for a few days, during which time we went over to the Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area, Palo Alto, for the Runner's World 5-miler. It was on January 5th, 1981. Turned out to be a huge breakthrough run for me. The field was absolutely stacked. We're talking about the best of the best in the world. I think it's 3 laps. Fairly flat, you know, a few little bumps in it here and there. The first lap, they ran off like an absolute crazy. Oh, Alberto Salazar, Dave Moorcroft, Nick Rose, Tom Hunt, Rod Dixon. They are like a bloody, I was going to say express train, but faster than that. I got left in the dirt. I thought, I'll be lucky to finish this. But I kept going. And I can't remember which lap it was on. Maybe the second or the third, but I went by this big fella, Rod Dixon. I thought, bloody hell, I've just passed Rod Dixon. Surely not. But I've battled on. Third lap, still blasting away. I thought, oh God, surely going to blow up. But there's still a bit left in the tank coming into the last half mile. So, you know, boot it, just keep going, keep going, keep going. Past some seriously good guys heading into the finish. Mike Mazioki, top Kenyan, bronze medal at 84 Olympics, 10,000 meters. Duncan McDonald, American 5,000 meter record holder. He's about a minute faster at 5,000 than I was at the time. But I finished 5th, 22:32. Salazar won, Moorcroft 2nd, Nick Rose 3rd, Tom Hunt 4th. These guys are all, you know, world record holders at one time or another. world champions. Apart from Nick, he almost made it. But you know, it's a huge breakthrough for me. I knew I was capable of doing that kind of thing, but it was just waiting and waiting for it to happen, and it did. But it was a while again before I made any further big jumps, and we'll talk about that in the next one. A week or so after the Runners World, I moved to Reno, gave up on Twin Falls. We just didn't get along, and talk about Reno and some big improvements the next year or so. See you again soon. Bye.